All right, welcome, guys. We are going to give it a few seconds for some people to join in, and then we will get started. Let's see if I can. Right. Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. It looks like we got some folks joining in. Let me get it up here on my phone just so I make sure everything's going well. Can you guys hear okay? Just making sure that we're coming through. All right. Got that ready. All right. Okay. Derek sounds all right. So we already got Keith Alverson, Paul Sweeney, and Derek Phillips already. So thank you guys for joining.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right. So yeah, like you guys might have seen in the post that we did, letting you guys know, we're just going to it's been over a month since Elvis Week. It's our first time coming back to you since Elvis Week. So we're going to talk about that and some upcoming videos that we got going on and that we're working on now, and then what we have in the future. So yeah, we met once again for like the fourth or fifth time, Keith Alverson down in Memphis during Elvis Week. Hopefully you guys were able to go down there. If not, we tried our best to get some content out there for you guys. We got some great content while we were down there that we're going to be working on. Looks like we got somebody coming in from Vienna, Austria. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to open this up tonight with just good conversation and not really be tied to anything. Just kind of let's just, free flow tonight and just talk about what you guys want to talk about. We'll throw a little bit of stuff in there, but I really want to go for the diner aspect tonight and just sit and talk Elvis for a little bit.
Yeah, feel free to ask questions and all that stuff while we're on here. You guys we'll start a new topic if somebody asks a question, a comment, anything. Just keep the conversation going. That's what we do on here. It's just a place for people to come on here and meet Elvis. For those of you watching on playback that might be over in Australia, sorry we can't do this earlier in the day. We know a lot of people, when we post about it, text us and say, sorry, we can't make it because we're so far ahead. It's nighttime for us. So apologize for that, but we appreciate the fact that you guys watch it afterwards on the replay. All right. Paul, yes, I am aware that the 1974 photo book is coming out. I'm very excited for that because, as many of you know, the June 74 tour that Elvis did is my favorite tour that he did. So I'm really excited for that to come out. One of these photos back here, that's from that tour. That's a George Hill photo taken in Bloomington 74. So I'm looking so forward to that, and I'm really excited. I definitely will be ordering it as soon as possible. Especially, I was just talking with Derek about the new. They're calling it the Last Tours Volume 1, but the first volume is his February 77 tour. He said that should be coming out in the next couple months. End of October, around there is when they'll start sending them out there. So that'll be exciting. Add that to our collection. Do you have anything to?
Yeah, I see somebody on there from New Mexico. That's pretty cool. There's Douglas from Ohio. Welcome. While he's over there playing with buttons and things like that, I'm going to start on, I don't know if, I know some of you guys have been following me on this new, I like doing series on Instagram where I just go on there. An idea will pop into my head and I kind of go with it. I'm not claiming to be a know-it-all on whenever I do a series. I'm not saying, I'm the end all to be all, but I just take what knowledge. I tell him all the time. I said, I'm just going to take what knowledge I have and kind of put it all together and throw it out there. And, maybe you guys can If you didn't know the information before, it's just a way for me to, especially for the newer fans, just to throw the information out there and, let somebody, maybe learn something that they didn't know, some just tidbits that I picked up along the way, things I've learned about the different aspects of Elvis's touring career. But I've been stuck on this, the recording sessions things, because
Mhm.
he did, Studio B and in Nashville. He did, American Sound Studio in Memphis. He did Stax. He did, the one out in California for RCA, that studio out there, then recorded in his home, there at the end. So I just been stuck on this, and I got into this, when we met Gene Chrisman down there, it was funny because something just hit me, like we've met a lot of the guys, we've talked to them, shook their hands and everything. But one of the songs that I've always really loved is Suspicious Minds. And it was almost like a spiritual thing, to be honest with you. When you called me over and said, "Hey, Mr. Chrisman's over here," and I went over there and I shook his hand, and it was literally like I was thinking at that moment, I'm shaking the hand of the guy that played the drums on Suspicious Minds, one of the greatest songs that Elvis, well, it's what, put him back in the game, really. That, If I Can Dream was huge from the NBC special.
Mm-hmm.
Then, hey, let's put an album out, and he surrounded himself with the right people, and Suspicious Minds was the number one song coming out of there. Among many other great tunes coming out of there, but I got stuck in that American Studios album that they just did, that collection. And I'm telling you, if you haven't heard that, go through there and literally listen to each track on that album. They did a phenomenal job of separating those channels out on the different instruments. It's unbelievable, just unbelievable. So that's what kind of spawned me to start this series. I hope you guys are enjoying it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go on our Instagram account and take a look. I think I've got about six posts just on that session from January 69. And then he came back in February. But I'm going to tell you, that guy, he was working so hard. You really don't realize when you listen to the final album, the Back in Memphis album, you don't really realize, because you're listening to the final products for that album. When you go back and you listen to take after take after take after take, I played those songs for you last night where I said he was basically destroying his voice. I mean, he was wore out. So I hope you guys are enjoying it.
Yeah, if for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, he's doing it, like he said, his series on Instagram. It's not on Facebook, because when our Instagram went down back in June, when we set up the new account, I wasn't able to connect it to our Facebook. So it used to be whenever we shared someone on Instagram, it would automatically go over to Facebook. But now anytime that there's a post on Facebook, I have to do it basically from scratch, and I have to go on Facebook and post it separately. So I don't know if some of you might have seen on Facebook that I kind of dropped a batch of posts from our Instagram onto Facebook. So, and I was actually going to try to post some of his series on there, but I wasn't able to get music on there, so it kind of wouldn't have been worth it, because I wasn't able to get the music on there. So and speaking of Gene Chrisman, that was probably the biggest highlight for me during Elvis week, because going down there, when I saw that he was going to be there, I was like, oh, well, there's a good chance we'll meet him at the guest house, because that's where you meet everybody, is in the lobby. And when I went down there, I was like, oh, I need the album, the From Memphis album. And I didn't have it. And that 69 American Sound Sessions is my favorite session that Elvis did. And I was like, as a drummer, I got Ronnie Tutt's autograph and met him. And I was like, I need Gene Chrisman. So I didn't have the record. And so I texted Keith Alberson. I was like, hey, do you have that? And he's like, yeah, I got it. So I picked it up from him. First stop we did once we got to Memphis was the Travelodge, and picked it up from anywhere I went in Memphis. I had that album in my hand, because I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to run into him, and I need to have it. And we walked in, and it was like the second or third time that evening that we had walked in the lobby because we were walking all over the place. And my girlfriend was like, "Isn't that him over there?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, it is." So we ran over there and, I shook his hand. He signed the album on the front, so we have it up here on the wall back here. And I told him, that I'm a drummer, and him and Ronnie Tutt were big inspirations, and that session was my favorite sessions that Elvis did. And I had him sign the group photo of all of them in the studio. And he's like, "Oh, that's me in the background." I was like, yeah, I know that. But no, he signed it. He was very nice. And yeah, it was really, really cool to meet him. So I'm glad I did it. What was your
Yeah, I just want to jump in there off topic right now. I saw Greg McQuaid. He said, "Greetings from Richmond." Greg, I got a question for you, and type this in if you would. We've been to Richmond Coliseum so many times over the years, and we've done videos on it down there, toured it and everything. Just curious as to, we know it had been fenced off several years ago. Are they still? Is it still up, or is it on the ground, or what? Maybe if Greg can
Yeah, so we'll
chip in on that for us.
we'll jump back to Memphis, but regarding Elvis history, as we speak, they're tearing Mobile Civic Center down.
That was a heartbreaker, man.
Yeah,
I'm telling you that. I know you guys think we're weird, but I'm telling you, when you look at the Elvis history and you go and you tour these buildings, especially when we did that one, we did it with George, and that was just a very, very special memory of doing that with him. And we were kind of left with the idea that that was going to be around for years to come, that they were going to kind of give that place a facelift. So we kind of left there thinking, hey, we'll see you again sometime. And then we learned a few months later, they're taking it down. So just, it's I know it sounds weird to people. Some people might be like, big deal, it's a building. Well, I don't know, it's a lot of history there, and once that stuff starts going, it's hard to say goodbye to that stuff.
Yeah, so you got Mobile's going down. Fort Worth is also going down, but that I've been keeping up with that. That's actually going to be in phases. The Tarrant County Convention Center, they've changed names a couple times, but that's going to be a multi-step process where they're going to be tearing down certain sections over the next few years. And I think that the actual arena that Elvis performed in will be the last phase. And I think that's not going to happen until 2027. So still got a couple years, but they're kind of just tearing it down around it, and then they'll flatten that, and then they'll build the new place. And then earlier today, I saw an article that the hotel that Elvis stayed at in Oakland, California, the Hilton Oakland, Hilton Oakland Airport, or some variation of that, they're closing that after, I think the hotel has been in business 56 years. So they're closing that too. Don't know if they're going to demolish it or not, or if it's going to just change hands, but it's been a Hilton, and they're closing that. So a couple pieces of Elvis location history is going away.
Yeah.
So we try to stay up on that as much as we can to kind of keep you guys updated, because it is kind of strange in a way when we've been to these places and then it's like, oh, they're tearing it down, like Green Bay, Wisconsin. We were there shortly after that. They tore that down. I don't know of any other ones that have been demolished recently.
Yeah, not right offhand. Green Bay, that was one. Mobile's getting ready to go. Richmond's getting ready to go.
Fayetteville. But that's the same with
still
Richmond.
Standing there, yeah. Well, Greg said, he just came back to us. He said,
sorry.
That, you're welcome, Greg. We enjoy doing what we do. He was saying it's still standing. Yeah, for years now, that thing, for those of you that don't know, the Richmond Coliseum, where bits of Elvis on tour were filmed in the Burning Love jumpsuit, the red suit, back in April 72. And then he went back 74, 76. Yeah, that one's getting ready to go too. So
so Sandy's asking, what did my girlfriend think of Elvis Week? She really enjoyed it. She enjoyed, the atmosphere, being around everybody. She's a big fan of If I Can Dream, so that was really cool for her to see the suit and the American Eagle jumpsuit and all that. We went down to Tupelo, did all that. That was really fun. I will say the vigil was nice, but it was hot. And even
bad.
Even Joel Weinshenker,
Yep.
that's his name. He was even saying, yeah, we're going to look at, doing this better next year, because I think from the time we got in the line to when we left for the night, 3 people had like passed out, and it was
Yeah.
elderly people like in the line that had passed out from the heat, and it
Mhm.
was 8, 9 o'clock at night. So it was hot, but it was it was nice being there with everybody and all that. So, but I will tell you, it was not a good impression when we first got to the airport to get our rental car, because that was not a fun process, because we were
No.
waiting there for quite a while for them to get us a car, and we weren't the only ones. So
That's happened twice going into Memphis. So
it's only been Memphis.
yeah, make sure that you have a backup plan when you get there. If you're, I think it's just because a lot's going on. You got the Elvis week, and I think there's always a golf tournament going on there. And you leaving?
No. Keith wants to see the.
Yeah, good going. It's stuck up there with in a way you can't get it off the wall. Keith, I don't think you're going to see this.
Give me a second. In a minute, I'll get it off. We put them up there really well, but I will. Yeah, I do want to try to show you guys.
Going back to that, I will say that, and you guys that have been following us for a long period of time, you probably think I say this about everybody, and that's not the truth. I say it about people that really make an impact on us, and we have just met so many nice people. But I'm going to tell you, when we met Mr. Chrisman down there, that was what a treat that was, and it was, not expected. So that's what, it's like we knew he was there, but we didn't know, that we'd be able to meet with him, and he just stood there like for a long time and just talked to us, and we talked to him about different things and everything. And so many people going, why don't you interview him? Well, that's not how we do things. We always contact the person and set something up and get permission, and we talk to him beforehand. I never grab somebody in a hotel lobby, and that's not who we are. It's not how we do it. So
yeah, and it was nice to go down there with like a new face. He might have been down there in the past, but for us, it was the first time that he was down there. So it was nice to see a new face. And come to find out, he was one of those people that like every night he was down in the lobby meeting people.
And you and I talked about on a plane coming back, what a humble, I mean, just, I don't know. It would seem to me, if you think about it, and if you go back and look at my series that I'm doing right now on the American Sound Studio, that place in a very short period of time, 4 years, is 67 to 71, they shut it down. And they shut it down because you'll probably find this funny. I don't know if you knew this, but back then they shut it down because it was becoming so dangerous that a lot of the guys that, that had to travel in there to work were going, hey, this is not safe coming down here anymore. So they moved out of there, and then they wound up American Studios actually went to Nashville for a period of time. But I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the guys that work there, Reggie Young, all those guys, Gene Chrisman, those guys, they were part of that sound crew. They were called the Memphis Boys. They were actually, before then, they were called the 827 Thomas Street Band. And then it turned into the Memphis Boys. And as I've started researching more and more, I knew a lot about Reggie Young because I love guitar work, but the more and more I started researching about it, those guys turned out over 120 hits out of there. And what was cool about it, all those guys played on together. Mm-hmm. They weren't broken up. They, hey, got another guy coming in here, BJ Thomas, it's the same guys. Got Neil Diamond coming in, same guys. Elvis Presley coming in, same guys. And I just thought that was so cool. And just to think that not only did he do the work with the Elvis, or with Elvis, he drummed for Neil Diamond. Yep. He drummed for the Box Tops. He drummed for all these different guys. And I'm thinking, man, and just to stand there and
yeah, I mean, Sweet Caroline, that was all of them
there. Right there.
So yeah, Mary's asking, did we get to meet Stump? Yeah, we actually met him a couple times down there. We ran into him at the guest house, and then at the travel lodge and everything. And it was funny because my girlfriend and I were standing there talking to him, and really nice guy. He likes to carry a conversation. He's not like, like he's trying to rush you to get through the conversation. He just stood there and talked with us, and I was kind of explaining, what we do and everything. And he was talking about how the last time he played, for Elvis, not with the suites at the pre-show, but for Elvis, was Madison, Wisconsin, a couple days, or the 25th, the day.
Right.
Yeah. And so while I'm standing there talking to him, my girlfriend's going through the photos, pulling up our trip to Madison, and I showed him. I was like, this is where, you were. And in my head, I had just focused on on him backing up Elvis. But then when he looked at the picture, he's like, "Oh, that's really cool." And he's like, "Yeah, I played at all of those places." And I popped in my head, I was like, "Yeah,
Right.
he did play at all these buildings." So that was really cool. But yes, we did get to meet him. Really nice guy. I guess. Yeah. So, because Keith was wanting to see the record. Hopefully there's not that much of a glare on here, but I'll try my best. So yeah, you can kind of see his signature at the bottom.
Yeah, right at Elvis's knees, right?
Yep, right there.
Yeah.
So that's
what a nice man that guy was.
So
just, or is. It's just what a nice guy.
Yeah, I thought I mounted it on the wall a different way, but that makes more sense. So yeah, that's probably my prize piece that I got from Elvis Week this year, was that, because as a drummer, I'm trying to get specifically the 69 to 77. So that would be him, Ronnie Tutt, drum stump, and I got two of those guys on this one trip. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
We got that record back there. That was a cool addition. You really like that photo, which we actually
we actually have that over there, and that on that album cover. I wish, one of the things that I wish that they would have done a better job.
I'll hold it up to the camera.
During Elvis's life, I wish they would have done more photos on his album covers like that. And show him the back too. Those are just phenomenal photos. I'm a big photo guy,
and these are from Mobile.
These are just incredible pictures, and I think it's it's good stuff. I wish they would have done more or done a better job on the album covers back when he was alive, but a lot of that stuff was rushed,
Yeah.
Like Madison Square Garden album, let's get it out.
Yeah,
Jacksonville picture.
I saw one of our old posts where I had taken the album and I put it with a actual photo from that show, because like on the Aloha show, it's a picture of him from April 72. And I went on there, and in the caption it said that RCA had these album covers pre-made months in advance. So when the recording came in, they just popped it in and sent it out. So that's why that happened. But yeah, that's cool that they finally were able to do that. Let me catch up on some of these.
Going back while he's looking at the, we're just having a conversation here, but, I was just saying I was a big Reggie Young, or still am Reggie Young. If you go back and you listen to that, if you don't have a copy of that CD, it's what, 5 CDs in that.
Which one?
American Sound.
I think 5. Yeah.
If you haven't listened to that, go back. Like I tell him all the time, and we've had this discussion. Elvis wanted to get out of the movies, and so they do the NBC special. That thing is a major hit. So with that, then that spawns "If I Can Dream." That was a major song hit for him. Really set him back in motion. So I think then the most practical thing to do was, all right, let's see if this is for real. Let's get you back in the studio. They take him to American Sound. He turns out a phenomenal session in January, and then goes back in February. Just a phenomenal session. And so to have that all captured with all the takes of all those different songs. And if you get a chance, I'm telling you, sit quietly in a room, put a headset on. It sounds so much different. And I think if anybody can back me up on this on the comments, it sounds so much different when you put a headset on, because you can literally hear all the channels separated out. You can hear, it sounds like the piano is over there, the guitar is over here, the drums are back here. It's amazing. And it really gives you a good idea. That's why I wound up doing this series, is because I was just so amazed at the amount of work that goes in when you hear like Reggie Young kind of sitting off to the side, kind of working out his part. To me, that just and for anybody that doesn't know this about me, is that I'm the guy, you know, I'm the guy that gets interested in the picture, but I'm the guy that's not enough. I want to know about the photographer. And then when I find out about the photographer, I want to find out about the camera. You know that about me. You know that I go into in-depth research, and I'll wind up, way over in way over in, left field, trying to figure out, okay, so who owned American Sound Studio? When did they, I got to know all that information. So this is where this stuff comes from. And I just find it so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I just looked, another piece that I have or got during Elvis week were these buttons that were used in the Elvis movie 2 years ago. I got the set of 4. So that I think was like the last purchase. It was like an impulse buy for me. I saw it. It wasn't on my shopping list, but I saw it and I was like, oh, those are really cool. So picked those up and I put them in that shadow box. So that was a cool.
Greg, you can look at that series on American Sound Studio on our Instagram account. So just go to EP Back on Tour on Instagram. And I think there's 5 or so up. Just go back to the first one. You'll see a picture of Elvis at the studio in 69. That start there and then just work through. The one I did this morning was really funny, where his voice was just, I don't want to give it totally away, but his voice was shot. And he was singing, they were working on wearing that Loved On Look, and his voice cracks. And rather than get mad and, go, hey man, don't laugh at me, I'm Elvis Presley. He just lost it. He cracked up and started laughing at himself. And it's stuff like that just makes me respect the guy even more, because he just, as big as he was, he could still laugh at himself and kind of knock himself down a notch.
What's your favorite song from that session?
Man, I'm telling you, it's funny that you should say that, because and maybe a lot of the old time fans, maybe Keith will agree, and George and Derek. I think that, when Elvis was alive, like, you had a certain song, but now that so much time has gone by and we don't have him, and there's an end to all that. When he's alive, you're going, well, there's music down the road.
Yeah.
Well, the roads has ended. And so now what this has caused me to do, as I get older, I'm starting to flesh out more of this, and I'm starting to appreciate songs that probably when I was 15, I wasn't listening to, because they just didn't mean as much. But as you get older, songs start to mean more to you, and especially knowing that this is all you're going to get. You're not going to get more. So that's a hard one to answer. But wearing that Loved On Look, I love that one from that session. Obviously, Suspicious Minds, and all the great ones, that In the Ghetto and Don't Cry Daddy and all this. So I can't pick one. I just can't.
I can.
You can?
Power of My Love.
Okay.
I like that one. And especially because before Elvis week, I was playing that song, or that's album on the drums nonstop. Cause like in my head, I was like, all right, I'm most likely going to meet Gene Christmas. I just want to be like, in that mindset where like, I kind of know like his rhythm and everything. And Power of My Love is probably my favorite, especially to play on the drums. Cause he was just doing a really good job on that song with the drumming. And so that's probably my favorite.
And I made well, let me answer that question, because I was sitting here thinking, and I give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. When I was a kid, I loved Suspicious Minds. I really didn't think about listening to Inherit the Wind, because it's just, when you're 15, when you're 10, you're not going, man, I can't wait to hear Inherit the Wind. But Suspicious Minds sounded good. Yeah. If I had to pick one song off of that session outside of the normal In the Ghetto, Don't Cry Daddy, Suspicious Minds, I'd probably go, I really love Inherit the Wind. That is a phenomenal song with great lyrics. You know how I am about songwriters. I love songwriters. Anybody that had that gift, I tip my hat to you, man.
Yeah, go ahead. If you guys want to put in your favorite song from that album
please do.
in the comment section, go ahead and drop them in there. See if anybody has similar opinions, similar tastes.
Yeah, where did you get that album? The back in Memphis.
That's the one I got from Keith.
I know it is. I'm just trying to get you to give him a shout out.
I already told the story. He wasn't listening. That proves I'm going to go back and I'm going to
No, I mean a very specific shout out because we need to talk about his the record shows that he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to make that a reel. It's going to be me telling a
Go
story.
to
And then it's
Instagram, go to EP on. No, what I was trying to get you to do is what I'm doing right now. EP on stage, and you can find all the dates for his record shows.
Yeah, Keith has a very, very large record collection. So,
and that record is in phenomenal shape. The cover and everything. So
yeah, and it was funny because Keith was saying that he had 2 copies of this, and actually, I'm gonna say it anyway, but I'm gonna contradict myself. He said I have 2 copies, one of which is still sealed, and mint and everything, and then I got this copy, and I was like, that's mint as well. And I just thought that was funny because this one was in phenomenal shape. So I'm so happy that I got that and got him to sign it. So thank you, Keith, for that.
Somebody threw up their long black limousine and only strong. Yeah, I'm. Again, that session. In my research years ago, I found out, and I wish I could remember the guy's name. I want to say Dan Penn. Don't hold me to that, but I think it's Dan Penn. Anyway, so I always like investigating the people who are responsible for. I'm one of those people that, yeah, Elvis was phenomenal. Elvis was great and all that, but it takes, you guys hear me talk about the quilt all the time. Elvis is the quilt, but it takes all these threads to make up that quilt. And without those threads, this is my personal opinion, but I just don't think that great people are as great. They don't wind up being that great all by themselves. It takes people behind them. It takes people supporting them. It takes people, again, it takes, Ronnie Tutt's got to be playing those drums. It's, the Stamps they've got to be backing him up. The producers, the Felton Jarvis, and in this case, what I'm trying to say is, Chips Moman, somebody said, I put up one of my series posts the other day, and somebody said it's a crime that Elvis didn't get to work with him more because he probably would have done 10 times more than he did with maybe Chips Moman, and I agree with that. I don't think he was led down a bad road, like with Felton Jarvis or those guys. But what I'm saying is there's really been some phenomenal people in Elvis's life that really got him out there. And I think Chips Moman is one of those people. But anyway, the story that I was trying to say is, and I'll be real quick, but the way it went down is that Elvis basically went in there with the music that he wanted to do. And this guy, I hope I got the name right, because I learned about this years ago, and maybe I'll do a post on it. But this guy, Dan Penn, I want to say Dan Penn. So let's go with Dan Penn. He comes in and says, we're not going to do this. I don't know what material he went in there with. But this guy stepped in and said, we need to re-look at this. And they re-looked at it and said, this is what you need to. So in the Ghetto, Suspicious Mind, that stuff was laid before Elvis. And then look at what happened there. So there again, somebody steps in, just like Marty Pasetta and the Aloha from Hawaii special, Marty Pasetta steps in there and says, hey, look, I'm going to be real honest with you. I don't like some of the stuff you do in your live show. And Elvis was kind of taken aback. And the way the story goes is Marty Pasetta said, you just walk up and down a stage side to side. He said, I'm going to put a ramp, not a ramp, but what's that?
Runway.
Like a runway out into the crowd. And I've seen an interview where he said, Elvis got up after their meeting. And he said, I thought I was going to get fired from this project. And he said, Elvis walked over and hugged him and said, finally, he said, somebody was honest with me and told me what they thought.
Yeah, and he also told Elvis, you need to lose 10 pounds.
Right.
And he said Elvis got up out of his seat and was
Hugged
like,
him.
thank you for finally saying it like it is.
Yep. So that's why I love stories like that. I love hearing the people that come along and we're part of the story. I mean, I love hearing about Elvis, but I also like hearing about the people that that make up the quilt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you guys have any more questions? We've got quite a few people watching here, so thank you guys for joining, especially the folks overseas where it's really late. We really appreciate y'all watching. But if you guys have any questions relating to Elvis Week, we kind of put most of our stuff up or away that we got from Elvis Week. We got it on our shelves and everything, but I don't see anything that we can really. This was one thing for those of you that are 50s fans. This was a piece that I got. It's a lobby card for GI Blues. I just like the photo, and Keith and I Keith kind of got on me while we were down there because I told him I haven't seen every single Elvis movie, and he's like, you got to see every movie. It's like a lot of them aren't that good, but you got to see all of them.
Well, Marcia's kind of getting on us because she wants to know about the Birmingham video. So that might be a good time for us to talk about kind of what's coming up. And we won't discuss the call I got today, but let's kind of discuss, and then we can talk about the Birmingham video.
So what was that? That would have been May when we went down there.
Mm-hmm.
Beginning of May, we went down to Birmingham and Huntsville. Mm-hmm. We did Huntsville first. That's where we met Keith, Bruce, Marcia, and George. We weren't there.
We did Birmingham first.
Did I say Huntsville?
Yeah.
Okay, I meant Birmingham. We weren't there for super long because not all, but we kind of started late, and they couldn't really push back the time for us to stay there, so we kind of weren't there that long.
Yeah.
But that'll be a video that we're going to be coming out with. We don't have a release date yet, but that'll be Birmingham, and then that's where we're going to have George, Marcia, and Keith there. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to have a couple more interviews coming out. Do you want to?
Yeah. So what we're going to do, we're going to call it the Huntsville sessions. And what that's basically going to be is 5 interviews with 5 fans that we went down and specifically sat down in the Von Braun Center. We sat down in the boardroom there and interviewed 5 different people about their memories. And it's, and some people might look at that and go, big deal. Why would I want to hear it? But I think there's a lot of people out there that at this point now want to hear that, because we've heard time and time again from a lot of the people that work for Elvis. And I think it's just as vital to hear about the people who saw him. Mm-hmm. I think because if you think about that number was small to begin with. If you look at the population of, the world and you think, who got to see Elvis, that number is very small percentage wise. And then as each year goes by, that number gets smaller. So these people are going to become more and more important to us. And I think it's very important for us to, that's kind of why we're doing what we're doing, is we're going in and we're documenting not only the buildings, but we're trying to gather as many people up and document what they have to say about this. Because once these folks are gone, you're just going to be basing it on what you kind of heard and what you read. So that's kind of what we're doing. So there'll be 5
separate videos
that are going to come out from Huntsville with 5 different fans telling completely different. They're not all just, well, I was on the 3rd row and I saw. It's not that. It's very unique stories. Each person has a very different, very unique story, mm-hmm. A different connection to Elvis. The one, I don't want to give too much away, but I won't give anything away, because if I start down that road, then I'll give the whole thing away.
Yeah, there's going to be 5 videos. Some the first one that we're going to be putting out, I was working on today. That's going to be about 15 minutes, and then I think maybe the longest one's like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. But I know what you were talking about, and I won't say anything, but I will say that when we were hearing this story, I felt like I was there. Like there was just the way that the story was told, I just felt like I was there with Elvis in the room.
Right.
So yeah, those will be, we'll kind of work on those a little bit at a time. They don't take too much work to put together, but we're going to try to space them out, so we don't release them all and then, we're sitting there with nothing. So we're going to release those, and then we already have a video it's going to come out in December, because we already got that set in place to be released in December for a specific reason. That
Do we want to talk a little bit about that? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think you're giving anything away.
No.
Okay.
Well, it's anniversary of something.
Okay.
But yeah, that's already set for that.
Yeah.
And then we're not going to really talk about this in any detail, but we'd probably have some stuff coming up.
Yeah. So I got a call early this morning from a good friend of ours that has a lot of connections in the Elvis world. And the person has asked us to interview two people and that work for Elvis, and we're very excited about it. We just don't want to give it away because we want it to be a surprise. Want you guys to have fun with it. We want you guys to look forward to it.
And we're still working out details.
Yeah, and so we're going to do, we're going to do 2 interviews. Hopefully, if everything works out well, we're going to do 2 interviews with these folks, and I'm very excited about both of those because I think they're very unique. We love, trying to find that unique angle, with each interview that we do, and I want to thank everybody for the support for the interview we just did back in August with Dave Hebler down at the Memphian. That's on YouTube now, so if you haven't seen that, go take a look.
It's our latest video.
Yeah, it's our latest video, and as you can imagine, being in Elvis world, that was a tough one because we knew kind of going in that regardless of how things went, we knew that we would get some backing on, hey, nice that you went and talked to him. We knew we were going to get some, nasty comments. We knew we really didn't get, there was really nothing. There were a couple things that, people, but I mean,
yeah, I mean, the views, did really well.
Right.
That we had quite a few hundred comments, and I will say it was probably 50-50, some siding with them, some, not, which we expected. But there were a few that we had to get rid of because there were people that were not, being respectful.
Yeah, I'll go on the record as saying this. I don't, here's the thing. There's a lot of people that say, "Why I wouldn't want to say this or say that," because you lose, followers, viewers. I stand for what I stand for. He stands for what he stands for. I did not go in. I made it very clear before we did that interview that I was not going in there to defend Mr. Hebler. I was not going in there to, hurt him or to what's the, I'm looking for another word. I wasn't going there to attack him either. I had questions since I've been, since I was a kid. That I remember when that book came out, and I had questions, and I went to a few people. Some of them are on this thing right now, and I asked for their advice. What do you think? Do you think I should just leave this alone? And they said, no, you go. And he worked for Elvis, so go talk to him. And so basically, just to give you a little bit of background, I had questions and I wanted answers, and I wanted answers from the person. I didn't want to hear, well, what's your opinion of this guy? What do you think of this guy? I had questions and I wanted to get the answers from him. It's up for debate, when you watch the interview, whether you think that his answers were valid, invalid, telling the truth, telling a lie. We did the interview so that you could see it, make your own judgment. And I don't, you can go back and look at any video we've ever done on this channel. You're never going to hear me put anybody down, not a fellow person that posts, not a fellow account. I don't do it. And, but to finish this up, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but to finish this up, we really didn't get any comments negative towards us, where people were attacking us, which I'm grateful for. But we read some comments that I'm going to tell you something. they're over the top, and I will immediately. I don't care. You come on here and talk about a fellow human being at the way, at the level that these people were talking about this guy. We will wipe you right off the. I'll take a bad comment. There's a couple on there that are not so nice, and I'll, well, more than a couple. I'll leave them up there because that's freedom of speech. Put it up there, but when you come off with some of the stuff that they come off with, I'm not going to talk. When you're talking about somebody, wishing a person dead and stuff like that. I mean, the first question I would have for somebody like that, when you're wishing somebody dead, have you spoke to that person? Yeah. Have you sat down and had a conversation with that person? Then, I would just leave it
there. Was
there.
a few where we were having on Facebook and YouTube, we were having to remove those comments.
If you don't like the guy, that's fine. I respect that. I fully respect that. I have questions myself, but to be hateful and to be nasty, I'm not buying into that.
Yeah. Okay, so there was this one comment that was put up there quite a bit ago. Our friends over at Always Elvis Fan Club, they want to know what we think of Presley for a Day. Do you remember when they were talking about that? Do you remember what that is?
Yeah, it costs a lot of money, right?
Yeah, so that's where, and I think when we were doing the tour, they were building that like little house cottage thing out there in the backyard,
and everybody wondered what it was.
I think that's what that was for. For those of you who don't know, Graceland's coming out with a new like a new outing or whatever, where it's called Presley for a Day, where you get to basically like ride the horses on the grounds. I was actually listening on Elvis radio. The ones that you see like walking around the grounds during the day are not the ones that you're going to be riding. It's ones that they've bought specifically for, riding. And I think they said all of the horses that they have on property are from like shelters or anything. Like,
oh, that's cool. I like that.
So, but anyway, you get to ride horses. You get to, have like special meals and like behind the scenes and all this stuff. You can find the details online, but I think they said it was like $5,000 per person.
Paul Sweeney, what's Paul saying?
Or $1,500 a person. Yeah, and
4 people in a group.
Yep. And so what I heard was like shortly after that happened, it was like they were selling out.
Oh, what's Paul saying? That he will pay our way. What's that say? He will pay our way.
I don't think you're reading the right comments there. But no, it's like, and I didn't really put too much, do a lot of research on it, but there were people coming on and saying, if they're making this stuff so expensive, I mean, granted, it's expensive just to take a house tour. I mean, to do that and the exhibits, but now if they're starting to jack up the prices for these other events and people are selling it out that quick, then that's just going to tell Graceland, oh, we can keep raising the prices. And that's for these people that, that I don't know.
I personally, when Elvis was, charging $7, $10, $12.50 for a ticket to go to his show, I think that he would be really upset. It's my personal opinion, but I think he would be really upset that you're charging, a working man, working woman, somebody, maybe it's a single mom, that wants to take her kids there, or a single dad, or our family, a family of 5 or 6. How do you do that?
Yeah. I mean, there was shortly before I saw on TikTok, there's a person that popped up on my page, and it was a travel vlogger. They just travel the country, and they were actually visiting Graceland like in July. And one of the first things that they said in the video was the tickets were like outrageous.
Yeah.
And I think the base ticket's like $80, and that's just for one house visit and the planes and the exhibits. And
I'm one of those people that think you can make more money. I was telling a friend of mine the other day, like at a baseball stadium, I've never understood. I mean, I get the whole concept of, they have ownership of all the rights of the, but I could open up a baseball stadium and sell a hot dog for $5. Okay. Mm-hmm. You go to these places now, man, to a baseball. I haven't been to a baseball game in a long time, but I don't know. What are you paying for? Like if you buy a drink and a hot dog, like $25 for a hot dog and a drink or whatever?
Something like that. I mean, it was for when girlfriend and I went to the rodeo last night. It was almost $50 just for
Right.
basic meal.
So lesser people are buying that. So if you dropped it down to an affordable price, it seems to me you'd make 3 times as much. I don't know. I'm not an economist.
And especially
What do you guys think about that? This is it's a diner, so
favorite part is the free morning walk-ups. Yeah, I like the evening walk-ups. I don't because
yeah, Music Man, 1982. Graceland was $5 when it opened in 82. I was there, remember it very well.
I think
$5.
yeah, you actually have some
I
of the
have
original.
some tickets.
Yeah.
I do. I should bring those out and show them.
Um,
Me and my mom lay $10 down there.
favorite part is the free morning walk-ups. I like the evening walk-ups. When we go to Memphis, I'm not much of a morning person because we end up hanging out later into the night, like at the guest house and everything. So we get back to the hotel at night. But I like the evening walk-ups. I think we did one morning walk-up. But one thing that bugs me, that I've said this every time, is the fact that when you go on a Graceland property, you're paying the Memphis city tax, and then you also have to pay for Graceland tax. So total, if you buy something that's $100, that's 14.25% added onto whatever you buy.
Wow, you added it all together?
Well, when I bought a TCB necklace there in the shop, and it was $100, and what I ended up paying was $114.25. So that's one thing that has bugged me, is the fact that you have to pay a city tax and then Graceland tax, and that's almost 15%.
Oh, Music Man said that he was born in 82, so he only knows the price because he was reading about it. Well, you can read about it. I can tell you about it. It was low. It was to where you could afford to take a whole bunch of people in there for not too much money. And I was there, and that was.
And you would think, from all the money that they're making, they would. I really, really hope that sometime soon I'll read an article that says that they are going to be blocking off those planes, putting them under a cover, and redoing those planes, because you go into those planes, you look in the cockpit windows, you can't see them out of them because the windows are just melting.
Yeah, if you guys want to get a plug for a video that we did last year, one of the greatest memories that we have in the Elvis world was taking Ron Strauss, co-pilot, on the Lisa Marie, and we interviewed him. He hadn't been on a plane in years. And very emotional, to be honest with you. You know, we're walking up the stairs. You were already at the top filming him, and just, man, I'm thinking the flood of memories as we're going up those stairs. I'm right behind him, and just the memories of what he was thinking and the stories he told us, and just, man, another one of those nice guys that just, we stood there for seemed like forever and just talked and talked and talked. And we've got that video on our YouTube channel at EP Back on Tour.
And some people were asking about that recently, because when to give you some backstory, when we set that up, we contacted Graceland, or we actually contacted somebody that was working inside the ticket center, she was in some position, I forget what it was, but she said, that's fine. She said, meet us back here at this time when you bring Ron Strauss, and she said, we'll escort you down to the plane. And so they escorted us down to the plane, and we got so lucky that the entire time they didn't like block the plane off for us. They didn't block it off, but we were just so lucky that when we were there, nobody else was touring the plane. So it was just us two and Ron Strauss. And so when we got back, we tried to contact EPE and say, do we have permission to release footage, because we know that they say no video or whatever. But come to find out, I think that's only in the mansion. But when we released it, because we never got a hold of anybody, so we were like, to be on the safe side, we'll just release the audio only. But I'm starting to think now, because people were saying it's only for the mansion that you can't video it, that we might be okay to release the video, because people have been wanting to see the video of that tour. So
the video is phenomenal, and the tour, not because of anything we did, but the listening to Mr. Strauss was phenomenal. The stories that he told, especially, I love the one when they were leaving Pittsburgh after the New Year's Eve show, and they said they got called back to taxiway because there was FBI was there. It said there's a bomb on board the plane, and said the plane was sitting there, and Elvis comes up and goes, why are we sitting here? And he goes, well, Elvis, there's a reported there's a bomb on here. We've been told by the FBI to taxi back. He said, nope, we're going home.
Yeah.
And they went home and flew by. The FBI was down on the ground and they were waving at them. So yes.
Yeah. Yeah, people are saying that they need to use that money to fix, like the sidewalks and what else? Which I think, oh yeah, they're fixing the wall, the garden wall. But when we were down there, we were talking to somebody when we were at Coletta's. We were talking to somebody who lives in Memphis, and we were, talking about how, if we were the mayor, not specifically him, because it doesn't all fall on him, but if we were high up in a position, it's like because of the flow that Elvis brings to Memphis in January and August, you would think there'd be, flags up on the light poles and parades and all that stuff. Well, and he looked at us and he said, politicians here don't like Elvis. And that kind of took us back, and like the amount of money that he brings into the city every year, and they don't like him. I don't know. That's what he was saying, but I mean,
if anybody out there has connection, the person that I'd like to interview, to be honest with you, is Angie Marchese. We tried to set up an interview with her. I would love to interview with her because I've got a ton of questions I'd like to ask. I'd like to ask why the planes are just, and if she sees this video, I'd like for her to get in contact with us or to reach out to us and we get in contact with her. I've got a ton of questions for her that not only that I have, but the questions that I've heard fans ask, like, why do they do this? Why do they do that? Some things I'd like to know. Why are those planes sitting there literally falling apart? The co-pilot, this isn't my knowledge. I'm not a plane guy. I love airplanes, but I don't, know what they can withstand. Mr. Strauss said these planes are falling apart. He said the windows are delaminating, meaning that the layers of the plexiglass that make up the window, they're coming undone. They're separating. And he said if they don't get a hold on this soon, they're going to lose these things because they're just going to fall apart. And so that's sad. I don't understand why they can't build like a temporary shelter over them. You close them off. They'll be out of commission for a year. You won't, probably a year, you wouldn't be able to see them, but go in there and repaint the things, bring them back to their original glory, and then keep some sort of a structure over them to protect them from then on. Seems to me that'd be a good investment. Another thing that I'd like to talk to them about, I think that Graceland should have its own, being a fireman for 30 years. And people might laugh at me, but Mount Vernon, where George Washington lived, they had their own fire department there, right on the grounds, just around the corner from the house. So if anything ever happened to the house, fire department's immediately on the scene. Something happens at Graceland, by the time that engine company down that road gets there, 29, I think it is, what do we we're done.
I mean, and going off that, when we were there, we've told this to a lot of people, but when we were there a few years back, we were down in the TV room, and there was that lamp on the carpet, and you look, and the wire was frayed, and it was like taped up real bad, and it was into like another plug and everything. And they're like, there's nothing preventing this from catching fire. And he said, at this point, if that catch fire, the whole house is going to go. So, yeah.
So yeah, anybody out there has connections with Angie Marchese, we would do a very respectful, as we always do, an interview with her.
And we've actually run into her a couple times, but we just have never gotten to
seen her do interviews with other people on Instagram and on YouTube, but we can't get her.
So Manly Stranger is saying it's not true that Memphis does not like Elvis. It's Memphis that does not like the people who run EPE. So, and that's always perplexed me in years where it's like there seems to be friction between EPE and the city of Memphis, but then there also seems to be friction between EP and the Westgate in Las Vegas, because I remember somebody saying that there was issues with them wanting to rename the street there with Elvis's name, and they didn't want to do that. Like EP didn't want them to do that or something.
Well, you see, the Westgate's they're coming around with it. They're realizing that they were losing money for a lot of years by not recognizing Elvis as being what he was to that building. I mean, but it seems like they're coming around. So we'll see.
Somebody said they heard Joel has plans for building a plane hangar for them. Heard they might be covering the planes. Joel said they're planning to move the planes inside. Yeah, when we were there in August, when he was doing his speech, he said that they apparently have quite a lot of like plans for the next couple years that they're going to be.
But you know, here's the thing, and this is just I think
I know what you're getting ready to say.
My personal opinion: the fans need to drive this. The fans need to, you know, we can't just have a couple people going, you know, well, here's what, you know, we think this is going to be the best move. Elvis was probably the greatest entertainer as far as caring about his fans. So now that he's gone, I think that the fans step in and say, you know, I'm not talking about day-to-day operations, but I'm talking about looking at the future of that building. I'm telling you right now, if you told me that in the next 5 years they were going to take out that neighborhood behind there and they were going to put in roller coasters and things like that, make it a Dollywood, you'll never see Jay back down there again, because that, to me, that's disrespectful. It's not. You want to put that, you then go find another piece of property in Memphis 5-10 miles away and make it whatever you want to make it, call it whatever you want to make it, but leave that 13-acre piece of property, leave it alone. And especially the area around it, because when Elvis lived there, those homes back there, that was a neighborhood. Elvis lived in a neighborhood and or, you know, adjoining a neighborhood. And I think it needs to be kept. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked to a lot of people about that, and there's a lot of people that do not want, you know, a Presley Wood, like a Kennywood, Dollywood. They do not want a Presley Wood.
I'd be out on that.
But every time we go down there, Keith is always wanting to know when a new house on that Dolan Street is going up for sale, because Keith wants to buy a house on Dolan Street. So I haven't seen anything pop up lately. Mary agrees with you 1,000%.
Thank you, Mary. Thanks, Savannah. Anybody else? It's nice when people agree with you. So,
and yeah, based on I feel like if the city really, like, I don't want to put the pressure like on the fact that if they don't do this and they don't like Elvis, but I'm like, if you do like Elvis, I feel like if you were repaving the streets in the city, I feel like that section of Elvis Presley Boulevard should be the first one paved.
There you go.
Because it's the same condition every year, if not worse, every time we go down.
He's the biggest moneymaker in that city.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
But yeah, there's more that goes into that stuff than we know. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's what
I agree with you.
That's what Keith was saying. That's what made me think of it. Is it's in the worst condition. Yeah. The potholes and everything. And it's like if you are trying to make the city like your biggest moneymaker, that should be the first thing that is repaved.
I'm loving this because the conversation's really opening up. Yeah, Manly Stranger. I like your point. I've said that for years. Vernon's house. Oh my God. I mean, it's gonna cave in. Literally, for those of you that have not been there ever, for those of you that haven't been there in, say, 5, 6, 7 years, Vernon's house is going to just cave in on itself. It is literally going to just, and people have been coming by there and they took the lamp post off of the, they have like the brick pillars there where the gates are. They've taken the
pieces of brick.
Yeah. They've taken the brick out. They've just literally chiseling out brick from the fence. And I'm, what is that?
Yeah. Yeah, Memphis is, someone saying Memphis today is a far cry from Elvis.
100%. That's right, Mike. I was telling Michael when we used to go, and Michael will tell you this, I've probably been telling him this since he's been a little boy going down there, but every time, he's probably getting sick of it by now, but every time we go down there and I say, you know, we'll be driving down Elvis Presley Boulevard. And I said, you know, we used to come down here in the 70s. And I said, this was a beautiful, Whitehaven was a beautiful neighborhood. It just really was. When you came up Elvis Presley Boulevard, you had thriving businesses on both sides. I remember it. You had thriving businesses on both sides of the street. You felt safe. You went into these places, no problem at all. And it's if you could take, you know, if I was there then and and I didn't see it for all those years, and then you drop me in, I'd say we're not in the same place.
Yeah.
But sadly, it's going down the drain.
Yeah, and because of how old I am, people might think this is strange, but with the old soul that I am, like with all the research that we do on this and all the traveling we've done, I've seen so many historical photos of like neighborhoods in these cities that we've gone into and old, home video of these places. It's very, very easy for me, even if I've never been to that city and obviously never saw it, in the 60s and 70s. It is very easy for me to go into these cities and just, envision what it used to look like and put myself in that place and imagine what the streets used to look like. So it's very easy for me, especially with all the photos that I've seen of Memphis when Elvis was there in the 70s. It's very easy for me to stand in front of the gate and picture the restaurants across the street. It's very easy for me to do that, but it is definitely not what it used to
No,
be.
and I was telling him, as nice as those places are across the street, it's really sad that they didn't put that like behind that strip mall and allow that strip mall to stay there just for posterity. Is that the right word? Posterity's sake. I think it's the right word. Anyway, just to maintain a little bit kind of like what Elvis saw, I think was cool, because we used to go down there in the 70s. It was cool because you could walk over. My mom and I ate dinner over there at that steakhouse one time, and it was just so cool because it was it was like a neighborhood restaurant, and it's just yeah. So
Paul's helping you out there with the
thanks, Paul. The book author comes in the end there.
Well, I also said, it would be cool if they added the Hickory Log. That's the restaurant.
Yeah, there's Beef and Liberty, Hickory Log.
It would be, which I mean, I feel like they could do this easily, but like right across the street from Graceland EPE, where you get into the exhibit part of there's that open grass area. It's just that field with nothing in it on the other side of the fence, and I'm like, you could easily fit, a restaurant in there, like one that used to sit there years ago, but
yeah,
they just I don't know why they, even regardless of putting something else there, I don't know why it's just an empty field there.
To take you guys back in time, and you're right. Well,
prostate.
No, we're not talking about that. So one of my fondest memories from back then, I mean, I got a lot of memories. I've told you guys about my mom and being down there with her, but walking into the shops across the street, I met Charlie Hodge, and he signed that picture over there for me. What a great memory that was. But one of my coolest memories was when and how my mom figured this stuff out, I don't know, but my mom, she wanted to make it special for me because she loved Elvis, huge Elvis fan, but she wanted to make it special for me. So she would take me around all these places. That's how I learned where all these places were, that I was able to take you. But back in the 70s, she took me back to American Sound Studio. Mm-hmm. And when we pulled in, it was I think I told you, it was a carpet shop. And it had changed hands many, many times, I think, over the years. I don't know what all the businesses were, but when we went there, I remember it was a carpet shop. And I was just like, man, Elvis recorded in there, and it's a carpet shop. And we went in, and I had a lot of you old timers will know what I'm talking about, but remember like the old, not a boom box, but it was like just a tape, like a tape player. It was like just in a square box. And I go lugging this thing in there, and I think my mom had asked him, could you just show him around a little bit? Well, the stuff that's in those pictures where Elvis, you see the stuff in the background, that stuff was still on the walls.
The paneling.
Yeah, it's a carpet shop, but that stuff was still there. So the guy says, hey, look, this story has been passed down through the years. He said, you want to know where Elvis stood when he recorded, those songs? And I said, can I play Suspicious Minds on my tape player here? And he said, sure you can. And so we went over there, and I stood, and man, you talking about, that was the start of kind of EP back on tour, because we were going back to those places. And man, I pushed that play button, and man, you talk about a moving experience. That was cool.
Yeah. Well, another thing I want to show, if you're able to get it, could you carefully take your headphones off and get that cup over there, the bottle?
Which one?
There's
three of them.
The Chief one. And I guess you can get yours up there on the top shelf, but you got to take your headphones off.
Okay.
You just
Be right back.
got to be careful. We don't want them to knock something off. So before we went down for Elvis Week, my girlfriend and her mom made these, and I was showing a few of y'all. So they have the ability to make these, and so I've got to tighten the lids on these. I made these designs, and then they put them on the water bottles, and this is what we used when we were down in Memphis. This is if I can get it up there, this is the Indian chief suit. So if I can try to get there, that's the
Back of the suit.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to do my best to get it up in the camera. So like that would be the front, and then I made that design down to each little stud and everything, and then you got the back of the suit and all that, and then I'll show yours because Dad really likes a 73 snowflake, so that's this one. Again, made that myself down to each stud. Trying my best to get it in.
What do we think of the chicken bone suit? Not a fan.
Not a fan.
Not a fan.
So I threw that out there. I was like, if people would be interested in that, it'd be cool to make different design jumpsuits. And if people want them on their water bottles, then we could I can make different designs, and you guys could have them. It would be through my girlfriend and her mom. I would just make the designs. Anything that we do, we don't do for money, so that would be through them. But I thought those were really cool. I had a lot of fun making the designs. And
this announcement was brought to you by Tide laundry detergent.
I didn't say laundry detergent.
Go ahead.
Okay? He says, "Do you guys have long pants on right now?" It's a weird question, Keith. Yeah. So I've seen that just caught me off guard, Keith. But I have seen somebody on Instagram. I forget who it is, but there's somebody that makes the water bottles, but like they put jewels and stuff on them. I would be very nervous to clean that, but these are easy to clean. So something we might throw out in the future. You okay over there?
Keith, long pants. Okay.
I'm going to turn his mic down so he can keep laughing over there.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So Graceland will go after me. That's the thing is you can't because I make you can't trademark a jumpsuit design. At least I don't think. And I made that by hand. I didn't take a picture of them or anything. So I don't see how you could, unless I'm wrong. Never seen you wear long pants when around you. Why is?
Come up here in February, Keith. I'll show you long pants. Because I hate the cold.
It is starting to get chilly up here now.
I hate the cold.
Oh, I do want to give a shout out real quick. So if any of you saw maybe like a week or two ago, I did a post about some of my friends got a new apartment and they were needing like photos on their wall. And my girlfriend and I were visiting their place, and I jokingly was like, "Hey, you should get a photo of Elvis up there." And they actually all liked the idea, and so I sent them like 100 photos, mostly all concert photos. And I was like, you guys can choose. And they chose the one we actually got it printed out as well. It's a photo of him in 75 in Huntsville throwing the scarf.
76.
75. That one's 75.
Negative.
Okay. Whatever. And so they took that photo and they got it print, and you can see the post on there, and all that. But as a thing, so to back up, all of them play softball for their college, and ever since high school, I was the softball team's photographer. And back in March or May, I forget, early this year, I went and took photos for them and sent it. And as a thank you, one of my friend actually made this. She drew it from charcoal, if I can get it up there. So she did that all by hand, and we're going to try to find a place to put this up there, but I really appreciate the photo. And yeah, she's very talented. Her and her friends have always been big fans of our page, big supporters. So we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
To all four of them, and we're going to try to find a place in here. We've been trying to do some rearranging with all the stuff that we've got in Memphis for Elvis Week, so we're going to try to find a place for that. But really appreciate that. Thanks, Paul, for coming to my defense. Thank you. It was 75, and you knew that.
I was just getting ready to say that you, more than anybody in the world, knows that when I've made a mistake, that I will come back and say I'm sorry.
I thought you were joking.
I stand corrected. No, I was thinking about something totally different. And there's the picture. Correct. That's exactly right. That hangs in the Von Braun.
I was getting ready for, because that's how you guys can back me up on this. He does that, and then he'll start laughing and be like, no, you were right and everything.
No, you were right.
So thanks, Paul.
Hey, can you quit rubbing it in? I said I was sorry.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Are you guys coming to Memphis in January? I don't know. We want to. We don't know if our schedule will work out to do that.
Right.
So we don't know yet. We're trying to maybe see about maybe going down like December, like early December during Christmas. We've never been there with the Christmas decorations, and that would be really cool to do that. But we haven't gotten that far down the road yet, so we don't know.
We got a lot to get back to the Elvis stuff now that you've done your commercials and everything. And anyway, so we've got a lot of content that we want to get out there to share with you guys that have kind of, if you guys could just bear with us on this, because it's, we set these things up, we go do them, and then we come back and we've got like what looks to be like a mound of material, and we got to start sifting through it. Then we got to start, and it's not that we're laying out on it and we don't want to do it. It's that I have to work, like we go do the tour, we go do the interview, whatever, we come back. I have to work around his schedule, and the amount of work. And I've said this, I praise him every chance I get because of the amount of work that he puts in. I've seen him stay up on these videos till 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning putting them together, and I'm very appreciative of that, because he does what I believe to be really good professional work on him, puts together a nice video. So I don't try not to push him too hard, but every now and then I got to step in and say, all right, man, we got it. It's been, a month and a half. We got to start getting stuff out. So just understand that, we're not 24/7 this. He has a job, I have a job, and I work like a 12-hour day, come in, and then we kind of get started on this stuff. So just kind of bear with us, and just we'll get the material out just as soon as we can. So that's what he's saying. Our schedule is going to be pretty tight because we got a lot of stuff. Talked about the 5 Huntsville videos we're getting ready to put out. Those will come kind of in succession. Then we got the December thing. Then, like I say, we got the call today. We got the Birmingham video that we got to get out. That'll be fun. So
thank you for the shout out.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll start wrapping this up. Episode 11. If you guys have any final questions or comments, feel free to let us know in the comments, and then also follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. I will say though, when we were in Elvis Week, before we went down, we were trying to, we made stickers and business cards and all that stuff. And I was like, we need something to like hand out that people can actually keep instead of business cards. And so we got the actual bracelets. We got these blue bracelets made.
Yeah.
And we got 300. We ordered 300, and we probably handed out like 100
of them.
Yeah. So
if you guys want one, shoot us a line on Instagram, message us on Instagram, or can they on here? On this?
I wouldn't do it on here because you'll let everybody know if you reach out. But no, message us on Facebook, Instagram, or you can email us epbackontour@gmail.com. And I would say Instagram is probably the best bet. But if you don't have Instagram or Facebook, you can email us. All that stuff is on any of our accounts, you go into the link that's in our bio, and that'll take you to all the information that you need to reach out to us.
We'll mail one out to you, and you can kind of do a little advertising for us.
Yeah. Someone said, "What are your thoughts on the recording studio?" Someone was saying that, which I personally have not seen anything about it, but somebody was saying that they're possibly going to be adding a recording studio at Graceland. Maybe across the street. I would hope so.
As long as they do it across the street.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, if you got the room, which they definitely do across the street,
Right.
then yeah, that'd be cool. When are we coming to Ottawa and Toronto? Asking for a friend. I think Paul is the friend. I've always wanted to go up there because those 50s shows up there are really cool.
Yeah.
I heard.
Yeah.
Supposed to be on the grounds. Wow, that studio on the 13 acres.
See, here we go. Here. So then what,
But is that not that cottage thing that they're adding, or was that something
I don't know.
Because I've actually heard somebody say that cottage that they're putting in the back of
for that Presley for a day thing.
Unless it's, I don't know.
I'm telling you, and this is where the fans are going to have to step in and either, write letters, emails, whatever, phone calls. The fans are going to have to step in and protect this, because I'm telling you, this is my personal opinion, but I just don't think the man would be happy.
Well, he's saying that
we do a recording studio and then popcorn stands and a slushy stand.
Well,
and
he's saying Manly
or,
Stranger is saying Joel's plan on the ground says it was from plans Elvis had drawn up.
Well, of course it was. If he drew, which I never heard that, but if he drew up plans, I'm sure it was a studio for himself, obviously. Yeah. But he's gone now. He's not going to record in there. So if he built it for himself, that'd be wonderful. They could just walk out back and go to his own recording studio. I say, if you're going to do it for people that want to come in and record current artists now, across the street.
Angie Marchese said there are blueprints Elvis and Vernon were working at. Also EP. I heard owns a property of Boulevard Souvenirs. Yeah, so Boulevard Souvenirs, which was next to Graceland, moved to next to Sun Studios. So I don't know what they're doing there. And they have the blueprints in the archives. We haven't seen them for 45 years. Makes a good point.
Why haven't we seen the plans in 45? That's exactly.
And
right.
Mike says Riley owns the property now, which is 100% true. She when Lisa Marie passed away, Riley now owns everything within that brick wall.
Right.
Everything inside there. I don't know. I don't want to say anything that might come back to, not work out or anything, but I'm hoping that she'll just continue the legacy where it's, the Elvis in a sense, like with the house and the property, was simple. And I just hope they don't start adding a bunch of stuff that he may or may not have wanted there.
Well, I'm saying, and I'll end this with this, is that, again, back in Elvis's day, if he put a recording studio, that was a smart thing to do, but it would have been why he was alive. Now somebody's going to say, let's open up a studio where we have the current artists come in here on Elvis's grounds and record. No, I'm saying go across the street, because you open that floodgate and then you got, a Ferris wheel behind the house. You got, we laugh, but I'm telling you, I see that's what's coming, because
people are saying that there's a model of the studio on display across the street, and that studio was to be designed as an octagon shape. I personally have never seen that display unless I looked right over it, but I haven't seen that. So we'll just have to see what their plan is, because Joel said that they have quite a few projects that they're going to be working on the next while longer. But the thing that you were saying, the fans have to step in and do something. The unfortunate thing is most fans, like, us and, a lot of folks that follow us, are getting sick and tired of the fact that they keep raising prices and they're adding these expensive packages. Right. But the unfortunate thing is, we're saying the fans need to step in. Well, unfortunately, these Presley for a Day, they've already sold out. So that's sending EP a message that, hey, if these things are selling out, then people want this.
Well, then I think what you're going to do is you're going to see a lot of the traditional fans. If you're a brand new fan, you didn't know you can't set you don't have a way to separate the two because you don't remember. But I'm saying like the people that have been going down there for years and years and years, like myself, I would just step out and go, you know what, I'm going to go one more time. I'll take a mental picture of everything that I see and take my memories and go home and remember it the way, that I remember it. And I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't even want to see a picture of it if that's what they're going to do. And I'm not saying that's what they're going to do. I'm just saying that if we start getting carried away with this stuff and start putting all this amusement parks type stuff in there, got a monorail coming through and, I'm out. And I think that most of the people would agree kind of with what I'm saying. I want to say one more thing. You were talking about the people that follow us. I say this just about every time I'm on here. We have some of the most loyal people that follow us, and you guys always come on our Instagram account. You make the nicest comments, very supportive. You appreciate what we do. I've said this 1,000 times. We pay for everything out of our own pocket. We're not monetized. We don't take any money for anything that we do. Never will. But I just want to say we appreciate what you guys mean to us and what you do for us. Some of you we haven't even met, and you're like friends to us. So we thank you for your guys' support. We really do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Somebody's saying it's an issue for the city of Memphis because of the property taxes. The 13 acres does not pay due to being a graveyard. It's kind of taking advantage of the city. More technical. So I did see a comment after that one that someone was saying, I hope they open the upstairs for small VIP tours. Personally, I hope they never open the upstairs to tours. I think I respect and like the fact that the upstairs is a place where Lisa Marie could go. Priscilla can still go. Right. Riley can go. And it's just their little piece of Graceland that is with the family.
Hasn't been.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. And the fact that everything up there in his bedroom has stayed there since he was there on August 16th.
Yeah.
I
respect people's thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally, I don't want them to open the upstairs because I respect the fact that that's their little piece of the property where millions of people are not going through every day. That's their one little piece of the house that is still in the family.
Right. Circle G, he makes a great comment on that. Circle G, that should have been purchased. That house should have been redone. The bridge out there, the cross out there should be maintained.
Well, that's
beautiful grounds.
We met that guy out there that was maintaining him and that other guy were maintaining the property. And he said the guys that own this is two millionaires that live in Florida. And he said they never come up here.
Right. And
he said they bought it and aren't doing anything with it.
Right. There were talk years ago. I remember years ago, they were talking about it being a campground.
Yeah. So, all right, guys, we will start wrapping this up. We're going to have quite a few videos coming out next couple months. We'll try to do another one of these next month, maybe mid-October. We got a couple more things that we're going to be doing in the next couple of days, and keep an eye on his series on Instagram. And we will try our best to kind of keep stuff coming out. Like I said, the Huntsville interviews are going to be 5 of them. They're going to be kind of spread out, so we don't post them all in one shot. So keep an eye out for that. And then we got Birmingham and quite a few other things coming down.
Yeah, a lot of fun stuff. And then, like I say, I got the call this morning on interviewing 2 people that we'll share with you as that becomes more concrete. We'll share that with you. But your guys' homework for now is jump off here, go to Instagram, check out, leave comments, let me know what you guys think of the Instagram series that I'm doing right now. I'm going to wind up doing one, I think, on the other sessions that he did, Studio B, and kind of work my way through all the sessions and do kind of like a little series on each one. So I'm kind of into that groove right now. So, yeah. And then the other thing, if anybody out there can hook us up with Angie Marchese, I'd love to sit down and have a conversation with her and get some of these things answered, and then we can bring it to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed episode 11 of the Elvis Diner, and we will see you guys probably next month for episode 12.
Yep. Thank you, guys. We appreciate all of you. Thank you.